Hi, my name is Ashley Johnigan. I am currently housed in CIW in a California institution for women. I've been incarcerated for 15 years now for a crime that I committed, drunk driving. I was sentenced to murder, and I am here presently to appeal for assistance in my fight to get out of prison.
So, Ashley, you said you've been incarcerated, 15 years now?
Yes.
So, on the night of this incident, you were indeed intoxicated.
Yes.
When you got behind the wheel of that car that night, you had no intended purposes to hurt anyone in the world.
No. In fact, I was pulled over on the side of the road when I was startled. I was asleep. I had left the bar early and pulled over a few leaks from the bar because I knew I was highly intoxicated.
So you was pulled over. So why you pull off?
Because when the officers pulled up behind me, they had their white beams on, and it looks like an 18-wheeler, which also in the trial, the officer testified to the fact that when their lights, when they pull up behind somebody who's parked, they turn on those lights, and it does look like an 18-wheeler. And I was afraid. I was out in the middle of nowhere in a back alley, like it was no man's country. And I've been through, many different situations in my past that made me not want to be in back country with a truck driver. So I drove off. But of course, my mind was, lucid as well. And when I drove off, my wheels locked immediately. And when the road gave, I turned straight left into her car. The officers had not even been able to get back in the car before the accident happened. And I never saw them, and they testified to that too. And now in Santa Barbara County, so now after that happened, what they do is when they pull up behind somebody who's parked, they put a red beam on so that they can notify who they are, so that doesn't happen again.
So this was purely an accident.
Yeah.
But
I literally parked my car where the officers survey because I wanted to feel safe where I was. So I parked literally where they pull over their car to catch speed, like people speeding by.
So, but this was purely an accident, but you were sentenced to life in prison under the murder statute in California, correct?
Yes.
Which, by the way, happens to be a harsh sentence for that in particular accident within itself.
Yes. And as it stands right now, when I've already gone to board, and when I went to board, in the state of California, they weigh heavily on your psych eval that they give you. And I got my psych eval, and he deemed me a medium low. And he specifically said that I am not likely to recommit my crime. And his opinion was that I could be let go. They disregarded everything he said, all the pointers that he made, and they said the opposite about me, and they rolled me over 5 years. Now, under what he gave me, a medium low, the maximum they ever roll anybody over is 3 years, and they return in a year. But usually you get rolled over only a year. I got rolled over 5 years. So as it stands, right, I'm looking at another 5 years to my time.
All right, so let's get into a little context so people understand why you were sentenced to murder and why you was given a life sentence. This is because of the victim that's involved in this case. Shed light on who is the victim of this case.
So my victim, I'd rather not say her name,
No,
but obviously it can be looked up.
You have to.
Oh, okay.
It's free.
Well, my victim was Laura Cleaves, and she worked for the DA's office. Her husband is the sheriff of Santa Barbara County. Every single judge in Santa Barbara, the entire county, had to recuse themselves because they all go to her Christmas parties. The only judge who couldn't recuse himself was Judge Regarley. And so Judge Regarley ended up being my preliminary hearing judge as well as my judge for my trial. Judge Regarley had only been working there for a year. When we appealed to have a change of venue, the same judges who are in conflict were the ones who had to actually permit me to have a change of venue. So they, of course, said no. And I ended up having to have my trial in a place where the same people who were judging me and who grant also, because judges officiate other judges' rise into the counties, into the court. So the same people who were judging me were the people who were personally involved with her. Because even though Judge Regarley was not personally involved with her, all of his other workers are. All the other judges that he has to work with are. And those are the ones who elect him higher positions. And they were also the ones who denied me the opportunity of having my trial in another county or even out of state. Arnold Schwarzenegger was a personal friend of theirs. He was cited over her funeral. And he was the governor at the time.
So basically, what it sounds like is they biased and you were just ended up in an unfair situation.
And mainly what makes it unfair is that every life is valuable. Every single life is valuable. There's not one life on this planet that should have more meaning than anyone else's life. That's what makes this truly unfair. It's not the fact that I sit here with this sentence. It's that if this sentence is going to be the sentence that we give for this crime, then it should be point blank. What's unfair is that we can pick and choose whose lives are more important than other people's. And that's not right.
Okay, so now that you've been sitting in there 15 years for this unjust sentence that you was handed down, what are you looking to do? What's your next move?
Well, there's a few things that opened up in my favor, but I need to obtain an attorney, which has been very challenging because of who the person is that I killed. They have a lot of influence.
That you accidentally killed.
Yes, that I accidentally killed. But nonetheless, my actions did cause this. You know, I'm very clear on that. Because of that, they have a lot of influence within California, and the people that they are connected to have a lot of influence throughout the government officials and the lawyers and all the lawyers, basically lawyers and DAs, they throw each other cases. So this is a very small community, and they go back and forth. And it's been very difficult for me to get in the courts because it's been really difficult for me to obtain an attorney who will take on my case. At first, it sounds great to them, like, oh, this is a good case, and we can do this. And then they look me up, and then they always deny me after that. One person has quoted me a ridiculous amount of money to take my case. And that's only because he knew that those people were going to come for him if he took on my case. So I'm just trying to find someone who is willing to fight that fight with me, fight the right fight with me. Right now, there's a lot of laws in my favor. There's actually a few more that came in. Because I don't have priors, I should have been sentenced to the lesser for this crime. So there's a law for that as well. There's the racial injustice law, which I fit in that category as well, because in my county, they don't sentence people to life sentences for vehicular manslaughter without any priors. A lot of people actually just get probation. There's a few people, a young lady who was the same age as me, around the same time as me, and she got 2 years. And they let her out on an ankle monitor, in my same circumstances. And then she went out and drank again and again and got caught all those times and still didn't come to prison. So I'm just looking for assistance to getting home, support while I'm here.
Ashley Johnigan been incarcerated for 15 years. She's seeking support for a legal defense and the chance at redemption. She's been incarcerated for 15 years for a tragic accident. She urgently needs assistance in this battle for justice, and the stakes are incredibly high. Any support can make a significant difference in her quest for justice and freedom. By donating today, you will empower her legal defense and help secure a second chance. Justice for Ashley.